Hi everyone, my name is Cheryl Butler, and you're listening to the Mighty Mommy Quick and Dirty Tips podcast, which will help make your life as a parent a little bit easier and a lot more fun. Welcome! This is episode number 326, titled 5 Ways to Raise a Happy Child. Yes, there are things we can do starting today to lay the foundation for your child to learn how to create happiness in his or her own life, despite the outside circumstances. As parents, we have an awesome responsibility to raise thoughtful, independent, self-assured, and productive children. While those ideals are what I want for my 8 kids, there's something else I believe is equally important, and that's instilling a foundation of happiness. And by that, I mean teaching them how to create and sustain joy on their own, regardless of their circumstances. Parents are often their children's biggest role models, so fortunately, we're offered countless opportunities during those precious years that we are caring for them to show them healthy lifestyle choices, especially by modeling these things ourselves. When life throws us a curveball, whether it be a disappointing situation like having our babysitter cancel at the last minute, or something more devastating like the unexpected loss of a job, how we react in front of our young kids can leave a lasting impression on them and plant seeds for how they will mimic similar situations in their own lives when things don't go their way. We can't control outside circumstances, but we can choose how we will deal with life setbacks if we have the right mindset and the tools. So today, Mighty Mommy shares 5 ways you can raise happier kids that will in turn grow into solid, well-adjusted adults. Tip number 1. Turn mistakes into learning opportunities. In our large family, things very rarely go according to plan, so I'm thankful that unconditional love and acceptance is part of the norm in our lives. We all make mistakes, so when we as parents make one, particularly in front of one of our kids, this is the perfect opportunity to own it and even express how we might handle it differently the next time. Recently, I was on a cleaning mission and got rid of 3 stacks of papers that had been sitting on our kitchen counter for weeks. When my son asked me if I'd seen his science report, I immediately said no, and that he must have misplaced it in his bedroom or left it in his backpack or locker. He was certain, though, that he'd left it in a folder on the kitchen counter, and he had told me he had placed it there because it needed a parent's signature for extra credit. Sheepishly, I realized he was probably right, and that in my haste to tidy up the kitchen, I had most likely thrown it out, and it went with all those other papers that I ditched. He had spent several hours on that report, and he didn't have a copy of it. I blew it, but I came clean and told him I had mistakenly tossed it. He was not happy with me one bit, and he had to recreate the report because of my actions. But I apologized and told him and the rest of my children that in the future, I would always check with them before getting rid of any school paperwork. So with that same token, they were going to have to also take responsibility for making sure they didn't leave important papers in places that didn't belong there. Kids thrive when they know that they're accepted, and when they are growing up knowing mistakes can be learning opportunities, that carries over into adulthood. Tip number 2, catch them doing good. By nature, humans tend to point out when someone has done something wrong. Even though it's necessary to teach a child right from wrong, especially if it's a situation where they can be harmed or need redirection in order to grow and learn, it's equally as important to make note of when you notice your child doing something right. When our kids are praised for something kind that they've done or done well, and we take the time to let them know we've noticed, this builds self-esteem as well as encourages a growth mindset. This doesn't mean that we have to become cheerleaders that wave our parental pom-poms every time our child draws a pretty picture or puts his dirty clothes in the hamper. However, when we genuinely and regularly take notice of their efforts, such as making eye contact and saying, "Hey, I've noticed you're really taking the time to keep your room more organized. Good for you." Then we're fostering that growth mindset, which inspires our kids to do better and enjoy their activities more because they've had consistent positive reinforcement. Tip number 3, allow them to contribute. All human beings desire to be valued and needed, so allow your children the chance to contribute and make a difference in your own household. No matter what his age, find something meaningful he can do to help out. Young children can simply pick up their own toys at the end of the day and return them to the toy bins. Older kids can be responsible for participating in the care of the family pet or being in charge of their own area of the house, such as making sure the towels are always stocked in the linen closet or checking the pantry each week to see what routine items you're running low on. When you consistently acknowledge that he's making a contribution to the family, it will heighten your child's sense of connection and confidence, two important seeds necessary to grow lasting happiness. Tip number 4. Lay a foundation of gratitude. Living in a state of gratitude can truly be one of the most important foundations for living a life of true joy. When we stop and showcase appreciation for all the little things that are going well in our household, like sipping ice-cold milk with a cookie, getting tucked in with a warm blanket and a hug on a cold winter's night, the ability to do a math problem easily even though reading literature can be a struggle. Then our kids learn to feel filled up with warmth of gratitude. This type of happiness then trickles out of us and helps to keep our mindset joyful, thus allowing for feeling stable and secure when it's time for them to move into the world as young adults. And tip number 5, interact with a sense of humor. Families are busier than ever these days, leaving many of us overscheduled, overwhelmed, and just plain exhausted on a daily basis. When we lighten up and learn to take time out of our busy schedules to stop and smell the roses, we show our kids how important it is to stay refreshed and not to take all of life so seriously. Start the day off by tickling your child after breakfast and telling her a silly joke. Surprise her with a funny picture in her lunchbox. Play upbeat music on the weekend when you're doing your chores. Even if you're not the jokester type, get into the habit of interjecting some humor into your regular routines. When our kids see us enjoying the simple things in life, we're laying another important brick in their happiness foundation so that they too will learn to offset stress and interject fun and laughter into their own busy lives. How do you instill happy traits to your child? Share them with us in the comments section at quickanddirtytips.com/mighty-mommy or post your ideas on the Mighty Mommy Facebook page, and you can email me at mommy@quickanddirtytips.com. And also visit my family-friendly boards if you have a chance at pinterest.com/mightymommyqdt. And be sure to sign up for the upcoming Mighty Mommy newsletter, which will be chock full of practical advice to make your parenting life easier and more enjoyable. Have a happy week with your family, and until next time, everyone, happy parenting.